Hi, I'm Jonathan Farmer, fly designer for OPST, and we're going to be tying the OPST Prawn today. Hope you enjoy it. First, we're going to start off with a 51 millimeter OPST shank. We're going to use a 7/32 plummeting tungsten bead from Hairline in metallic purple. We're going to use a size 3. You could also use a size 2 OPST swing hook and OPST intruder wire. The butt on this fly is going to be cactus chenille in large. We're going to do the purple one today, so it's going to get a pink butt. Then our saddles on the flank are going to be the OPST Grizzly dyed blue saddle. We're going to have some OPST hot pink spotted ostrich. The eyes are from Just Add H2O products. They are the shrimp and crab eyes in chartreuse. Our body on this fly is going to be cactus chenille and large and purple. And then our body hackle is also going to be the blue OPST Grizzly saddle. Our composite loop on this fly is going to be a mixture of Ice Dub purple, Ice Dub steely blue, and the Fusion Dub in electric grape, along with the freckled predator wrap UV freckled gold. We're going to be using the Silly Legs purple and hot pink tipped. These are from Wapsie, I believe, through Fish Hunter. And then the carapace on this fly, we're going to also be using some OPST Barred Royal signature intruder drabs. The carapace on this fly, we're going to use 2 different saddles for this fly. The first 2 feathers we're going to use are going to be the OPST purple saddle dyed over white. These things just absolutely make the top part just kind of shine and glow. This brilliant purple shines through that barred grizzly. And then the top feather is going to be one of the OPST purple dyed grizzly saddles. First, we're going to go ahead and start out by running a thread base down the shank, which I've already done here. We're going to tie in our intruder wire with a hook on it, and that hook is going to be pointed down. If you really want to save yourself some aches and pains, stabbing yourself in the fingers, I would suggest that you use some junction tubing and just slip a little bit on the end of that barbless hook. We're going to tie in our intruder wire. There's a little trick to this. If you tie it on at a 45-degree angle facing yourself and use a rolling wrap over the top, it just pops right into place. We're going to run our thread down the shank, locking in that intruder wire. We're going to run it right up to the bead. If it doesn't want to tuck in, then we'll just take a pair of undesirable scissors that you've ruined in the past, and we're just going to cut off that excess. And to really lock this thing in place, we're going to take some crazy glue. We're just going to run a nice, even, smooth layer down that shank, locking all of that intruder wire into place. That's going to penetrate your thread and really lock it down. Using nice tight wraps to lock in this intruder wire. With those nice tight wraps and this Vivus 140 power thread, that thing isn't going anywhere. Now we're going to start the butt of the fly. Going to be using the Cactus Chenille large pink. We're looking for about 4 or 5 turns in the back, kind of packed on top of each other like a dubbing ball. So we turn this on, just kind of stroke these fibers back. If you're doing this at home, wait until your glue dries. Just going to create a nice little ball in the back. Little hot spot in the back of this fly. Next, we're going to use the OPST spotted signature intruder drabs in hot pink, and we're looking for about I like about 6 to 8 fibers on this fly, depending on how sparse you like yours. We've got our 8 here. We're just going to tie these in just past the hook. Gonna kind of hide that a little bit. The hook point's going to be facing down on this fly. It's going to help keel it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in our saddles on the flank. I typically like a really long, sharp tip for this fly. Try and get these as close to matching as you can, just for managing your saddle as you move through it. If you don't pick matching feathers, it's going to be really frustrating once you get a little bit further down the road into that saddle. Just going to measure it out. We're going to strip these at the same time so we know they're the same length. We're going to tie the one away from us in first. I'm going to pinch it down really good. Make a couple fairly loose wraps. Lock it into place with a nice tight one on our third. We're going to tie in the one facing us next. Couple nice loose wraps, and then tighten it down. I'm going to tie that all the way back to our. Chenille butt. I'm going to wrap forward. We're just going to break those off. While we're here, we'll tie in our ostrich. Sometimes it won't want to cooperate, and so you just trim those little butts off. It's not like we're needing this to be perfect. We're going to hide that with our body here in a moment. Next, we're going to grab our shrimp and crab eyes from Just Add H2O. We're going to cut them in half. Usually I like to crimp down the ends of these with a pair of pliers, but of course I forgot my pliers today, so we're just going to tie them in. Tie them right in on the side. Give a couple nice wraps to lock that one into place for the moment. Measure our other one up against it. We're going to tie these in. You want to make sure you don't put them too far back, because we don't want them impeding that hook point. We don't want them getting in the way. Just want them right about where the hook starts, where they kind of stick out of the back of the fly and just kind of pop. Now we're going to make a dubbing loop, and I'm not going to bother closing it, and we're going to run that all the way back, and this is going to be what's going to lock in that saddle. We're just going to kind of pin this back, take a little wax, keep it out of the way. Now we're going to grab our cactus chenille in purple. If you want to scale down this fly a little bit and tie a smaller version of it, you can just use medium. You just kind of scale everything down a 3/16 bead head on this fly. It'd be perfect for a smaller version. And we're just going to tie that in. And we're going to leave ourselves roughly about 1/4 of an inch. And we're just going to start wrapping our body. And I don't like to pack this in too tight. I just like to palmer it forward. We're not really even doing touching wraps. But with that cactus chenille, it fills in the body really nicely. We just keep a little bit of material out of the fly, so it sinks a little bit better. The 7/32 tungsten bead, this fly is going to get down pretty quick. So when you want it to get down now, fish a bucket, this fly is going to get down. Now we're going to take our OPST saddle and the blue grizzly. What I really like about these things is we can get a nice body hackle out of some of these really long feathers. If you have any of these saddles and you're wondering what to do with some of these that you might think would be good for pike or musky flies, but you live in the Pacific Northwest and you don't really fish pike or muskie a whole lot, I like these for a body hackle. They're just fantastic for a soft hackle fly too. You get a lot of really nice soft hackles in these saddles. We're going to tie this in, starting with our larger end first. We're going to make 2 wraps right here, and then we're just going to wind this down using open wraps. And now we're going to take this thread, and it's the Beavis 140, so I'm not worried about this breaking. We're just going to pluck that off. And if you're not confident in just plucking it off right then, wait until you're done. There's nothing more frustrating than having a saddle come unwound on you and having to pick a new one. So just take your time with this fly, and tying's not for all of us. It's not about how fast we can do it, it's about enjoying it. And this is kind of a fun fly to tie. I really like tying this fly. You really get to watch it come together as you're moving through it. And cut that off. Just try and keep everything nice and tidy. We're going to take our hot tipped silly legs. I think you can get these just about anywhere. Everybody has their kind of version of these. We're going to fold them in half. You take 2 of them and fold them in half, and then we're going to cut those 2 in half. And we're going to have these little pink butts right here that are stuck together. We're just going to trim those off. And take these 4 legs all at one time. I'm just going to kind of splay them out so they're nice and laid out. We're going to make a nice loose wrap, 2 or 3 nice loose wraps, and then we're going to just tie those in nice and tight down on the bottom. Really, you don't need to trim 2 of these. We don't want them all the same length. So we'll trim those up. And now we're into our composite loop. Take a little bit of a scrim for the base. Use the UV ice dub from Hairline. We'll take a little freckled gold predator wrap. And in this fly, I'm not trying to create a giant shoulder, so I'm gonna forego the water again. Not everything in nature is gigantic. We're gonna use about half of that little hank of predator wrap. Just gonna kind of spread it out in our fingers. And we're gonna set it down. We're going to take a little bit of steely blue ice dub. Not a whole lot. You can really kind of overpower it with blue. And that electric grape already has blue in it. Now we're going to take our electric grape, fusion dub. We're going to find a common length. We're going to set that down right on top. We'll take just a little bit more of this UV ice dub in purple. And really less is generally more, and you can always use more, but it's hard to take. It's hard to take out of a fly. And we're going to go back to the fusion dub. This is just going to be a little scrim for our ostrich. We're going to take about an inch or so, inch and a half worth of ostrich. We're just going to kind of measure it out. I want it to be just short or just about even with these eyes. We don't want to cover those up. But once we get our loop wrapped, it'll be about a millimeter or 2 short. We'll set that right down on top of that fusion dub. A little bit more fusion dub on top. Now we're going to create our dubbing loop. A little bit of wax. Pick up our little Sammy. Good dubbing spinner. Take our dubbing spinner, OPST dubbing spinner. These things are about bulletproof. I drop this thing on a hardwood floor sometimes 6-8 times a day. It's still going strong. Now we're going to spin this. You can take your dubbing needle, and after you start to twist it up, you can hold those legs out of the way. Just spin this down so that dubbing loop doesn't grab those silly legs, because it'll try and spin those up too. Let's pick this out. And again, we're not going to use water in this fly. We don't want to pack it in and make a really substantial shoulder. We're going to get enough support out of this material anyway without packing it in super tight. So again, we're trying to build a fly that's going to penetrate through the water column. And you can fish this throughout a run. You just change the angle of your cast, and you know, if you stay on top of it, you can keep it up off the bottom. We don't want to be hitting rocks all day long. If we're too far down on the bottom, that means we're not fishing. This is a great fly for deeper runs and buckets. Brush it forward and brush it back. Now we're ready for the carapace of this fly, where we're going to use 2 of these different OPST saddles. So you may be wondering what to do with the bottom feathers, these big wide feathers, and I like to use these for carapaces on prawns and shrimp patterns. So we're going to take a couple of these. Just take your time picking them out. We want fairly short, fairly wide ones, so we're going to take 2 of the purple dyed over white, and then we're going to take one of the grizzly dyed purple. We're going to stack them right on top of each other. And they may want to fuss with you for a minute, but just give it a second. We're going to pinch them. We're going to pinch them all down together. We're going to find the length that we want. We're just going to strip all 3 of them at one time, so we have the length that we want in all 3 of those feathers. So now we're going to hold it at a slight angle toward us. Really press down with that index finger to hold them in place. And we're going to give 2 loose wraps, and we're going to tighten it up. Give a third, and then we're going to check it. You can take all 3 of these at once and find where they want to go. We want them right on top of that fly. It's going to create a bit of a wing. It'll be a flatter wing, but nonetheless a wing. Tie those off. Trim them up. Take our whip finisher. I like to give 2 whip finishes in every fly. And you can really reef on this Vivus 140. I can't say enough about this thread. This stuff is fantastic. Cut it off, and there you have it. There's the OPST Prawn ready to fish. Thanks for watching.